The IAS Gender with Age marker is a useful tool to strengthen gender equality integration in UNHCR programs. This short tutorial introduces the IAS Gender with Age marker, or the GAM as it's also called, and how to complete the online GAM tool. The GAM is a very easy to use tool for checking whether our projects and programs have meaningfully considered gender and age. It encourages us to think about how well our programs respond to the gender and age differences of our persons of concern. The GAM codes programs on a 0 to 4 scale based on the answers that you provide to a number of questions relating to what is called gender equality measures, or GEMS. The GAM can be applied to project and program narrative documents, including the annual operations plans, as well as country and cluster level strategies and plans. And it can also be used for project documents that are developed and signed with partners, and be a helpful tool for the multifunctional team to use in their planning and monitoring of the operational response. What you see here is the GAM website, iasgenderwithagemarker.com, which is where you can access the online GAM tool. Before we open the tool, I just want to highlight a few features of the GAM website. Here, under the resources section, you will find a number of useful resources explaining the GAM in more detail. Now let's open the GAM tool and see how it works. Under Access the Marker, you will see that there are two versions of the tool available on the website. There's a test version, and then there's the actual marker, which allows for the results to be saved in the GAM database. There's also an offline version of the tool that might be useful in areas where internet connection is an issue. In this example, we will be using the play and test version of the tool. It looks exactly the same as the real marker. The only difference is that with the test version, it's not possible to generate a GAM report at the end of the form. But for training purposes, this is the form that we should be using. And then finally, before starting, you should have your different project and program documents ready, as you'll need to refer to them while completing the tool. If this is the first time you're using the GAM tool for your program, you should select the second option here. I'm registering a new project and I don't have a reference number. You can apply the GAM both during the design phase of your program and again during implementation for monitoring purposes. If you apply the GAM during program design, the program will be assessed on 4 key gender equality measures to find out if you have integrated gender and age considerations in the design of the program. You can also apply the GAM during program implementation to reflect on which areas of the program are working well and what perhaps needs to change to address gender and age gaps. In this case, 8 additional gender equality measures will be assessed, so a total of 12 gender equality measures. In this tutorial, we're going to use the tool to assess whether gender and age are considered in the design of a fictional program. And then I will enter my name, my job title, and my email address before clicking Next. In the first part of the form, you are asked to enter a number of different program details, and then you enter the name of the program you're using the GAM on. And then you select the year in which your program is implemented and you indicate the length of the program. Finally, at the bottom here, you select the country in which the program is implemented from this drop-down menu, and then you click Next. On this page, you have to select the sectors that your program falls under, and here you can select one or all that applies, and then you click Next. On the project details gender and age group page, you have to choose the different gender groups that your program aims to support. So those are the ones that are mentioned in your program document. We've now arrived at the first gender equality measure of the GAM, gender analysis. So here you have to assess if your program includes an analysis that discusses the different needs, the different roles and power dynamics between women, men, boys and girls. If your program includes a needs assessment or an analysis that outlines all of these different aspects, you should choose needs, roles, and power dynamics here. If the needs assessment outlines needs more generally but does not specify different needs or different roles based on gender and age, you should select the second option here, needs. If there's no needs analysis included in your program design, then you can select no needs analysis yet. So in this example, we are going to select needs, roles, and power dynamics, indicating that these different aspects are addressed in our analysis. Next, you have to indicate which gender groups are included in your needs assessment or in your analysis. Here you can select all that apply, or you can indicate if gender is not specified. And similarly, you have to indicate which different age groups are discussed in your needs assessment. And again, you can select all that apply. Then finally, you should extract the part of your needs analysis, or at least an example from your needs analysis, where gender and age differences are mentioned and discussed, and then you can insert that here in the text box. And then finally, at the very bottom here, you can indicate the name where this extract comes from. And then you click Next. On this page, the second gender equality measure is introduced, which is tailored activities. Here you have to assess whether the activities in your program or the response you're planning are tailored based on the needs and preferences of women, men, boys, and girls of different ages. For example, are targeted actions planned to address the needs and priorities as well as discrimination and risks faced by specific groups of women, girls, men, and boys, or is that not the case? If the activities in your program are addressing general needs, you should select the first option here, needs. But if your activities are in fact tailored to different needs, roles, and power dynamics, you should select the second option here. If you are designing or planning a program that specifically addresses gendered barriers and discrimination, for example, if you're designing an GBV prevention program, you can select the last option here, social, gendered barriers, and discrimination. Then, similar to the previous page, you should indicate which gender groups and their specific needs the planned activities are tailored to. And again, you can select all that apply. Then you select the age groups the planned activities are tailored for. And again, you can extract an example from your program document that describes the planned activities and the gender and age tailoring you have just indicated above, and you can insert that in the text box here. And then finally, you can indicate the name of the document where this extract comes from. And then you click Next. The third gem covers project influence, and here you're encouraged to think about whether your program outlines how persons of concern will be engaged in assessing, designing, delivering, and reviewing the program or the response. So first you select the phases where you have planned to engage persons of concern in the program management, and again you can select all that apply. Then you should again indicate which specific gender and age groups will be able to directly influence the program management. Or you should indicate if gender and age are not specified in this regard. Again, you are asked to briefly describe how different persons of concern will be able to influence the program and whether some people might be excluded here. So you can do that in the text box. And again, you enter the name of the document where this extract comes from. And then you click Next. The final gender equality measure used in the design phase relates to benefits. And here you're asked to think about if you've included and selected indicators that allow you to measure if the program delivers distinct benefits and results for women, men, girls, and boys of different ages. Then you should indicate whether at least one of your indicators are disaggregated by different gender groups or if that is not the case. and whether at least one indicator is disaggregated by different age groups. And finally, you can insert the relevant indicators here in the text box and indicate the name of the document where this comes from. And then you click Next. After answering questions relating to the 4 gender equality measures that are applied during the design phase, you'll arrive at this results page. Here you'll see an individual GAM code for each of the 4 gender equality measures, as well as an overall GAM code for the program. A GAM code of 4 indicates that both gender and age are meaningfully considered in the program design, whereas a code of 3 indicates that gender is considered but not age. A code of 2 indicates that only age is considered, and a 0 code tells us that the program has not been designed in a way that considers gender or age. So in this case, we see that the overall GAM code is 2, meaning that this fictional program to some extent addresses age differences, but it does not in a meaningful way contribute to gender equality. We can see how this particular program does in fact include an analysis that looks at specific needs of different gender and age groups. So we can see how there's a code of 4 for the first gender equality measure, gender analysis. But we can also see how that is not carried over fully into the design and tailoring of activities where the GAM code is 2. So even though we might have identified specific needs of, for example, women and girls through our needs assessment, we've not designed specific and tailored activities that address these needs. So this could mean that the program design does not enable women and girls, for example, to access services that respond to their specific needs and priorities. We can also see here that we might want to consider how the program can be improved in terms of ensuring that women, men, boys, and girls of different ages can influence program management. So we can see there's a GAM code of 1 when it comes to influence on the project. So we might want to look at whether the participatory methodologies we're using are accessible and inclusive of all groups of persons of concern. And finally, we need to consider if we can actually measure whether the program delivers results that clearly address different needs amongst persons of concern. So in this way, we can use the GAM results to identify areas and reflect on ways we can improve the program design in order to better address gender differences and advance gender equality. We've now reached the end of the GAM tool where the GAM reference number is generated. This is the number you need to access your GAM report, and this is also the reference number you need if you want to come back to the form at a later point, for example, to complete the monitoring part of the form after you've been implementing the program for a while. So please make a note of this number. Once you click Submit, your program GAM report will be registered in the GAM database. To access your GAM report, you need to go back to the GAM homepage, and under Access the Marker, you click Your GAM Report. And then you click the link here, which will take you to this website where you can enter your GAM reference number to access the report. Please remember that this step is only possible with the actual GAM tool and not the test version we've been using here. I hope this tutorial has helped to illustrate how you can use the online GAM tool to check whether your project or program has meaningfully considered gender and age. As mentioned earlier, the GAM really encourages us to think about how well our programs respond to the gender and age differences of our persons of concern, and it helps us to highlight which areas of the program are working well and what might need to be adjusted or changed to address gender and age gaps. For further guidance on how to integrate gender equality considerations in UNHCR programs, you can also have a look at the UNHCR Gender Equality Toolkit, which is available on the UNHCR website. And you can also access the UNHCR Gender Equality e-learning on Learn and Connect. Thank you for watching.